morning, YouTube friends. Thanks so much for coming by. It is Sunday morning and I have the day off and I'm up really early because I think that's what happens when you're 37, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, my friends and I are having a very small socially distanced brunch today to discuss some future travel plans. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for me to get up early and test out a vegan sugar-free scone recipe I've been working on. So keep on watching to see how we do it. So to start out, guys, I'm going to prepare a flax egg and some vegan buttermilk to help get some rise out of our scones we're making. So I've just got 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed with 2 tablespoons of water. We're going to stir it up and just set it aside. It'll gel up just kind of like an egg by the time we're ready for it. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar into some cold unsweetened almond milk, and it's going to thicken up and make a little bit of a buttermilk kind of texture for us and also help with the rise of our scones here. I'm using cold soy milk because we want to keep our butter nice and chilly to get a nice flaky scone. Then I've got all of our dry ingredients measured out. I am doing a double batch so I can make a couple different flavors to show you guys and have enough to keep at home so Steve can have some snacks for the week or breakfast. So I'm doing half and half oat flour and all-purpose flour. There's some Swerve sweetener in there. There is baking powder and pink Himalayan sea salt. I will of course list below all the ingredients, and you can definitely half this mixture if you just want one batch of scone. I did make the oat flour myself. I just buzzed it up in my blender a little bit, and I left a bit of texture on there so you've got a nice bite when you bite into those scones. So I'm just mixing them together a bit with my hands, and then we're going to cut some vegan butter into it. I've got 2 sticks here that I've just kind of made into big cubes really quickly. Super cold butter straight from the fridge. Again, we're trying to keep this mixture as cold as possible so it gets nice and flaky when we bake it. You can of course use any kind of vegan butter you like, but I like to stick to like a stick form for baking something like this. It kind of holds up a little better using earth balance. As you can see, the spreads kind of don't give you the same texture that you get when you're baking with a stick of butter or vegan butter. So that's why I like to use earth balance. So I'm just going in with my hands, breaking it up until I get kind of like a coarse sand, little small pea-sized bits of butter. If that makes sense, you can of course use a dough cutter, but I think it's the ceramicist in me that just needs to get my hands dirty. Plus I can really feel the texture. So I'm just gonna kind of keep going through, mixing around with my hands until everything's broken up into these small little bits. Okay, now that we've got our butter mixed into our dry ingredients, we're going to add our wet ones. Our flaxseed, as you can see by now, is nice and jellified. I think that's a word. It is now. Then I'm going to pour in our little buttermilk mixture as well, and some vanilla, and we're just going to fold it all together with a fork, just trying to make sure we incorporate that flax egg since it's a little bit more dense of a liquid. So we're just going to barely mix this until it's combined. The less we mess with this dough, the more delicate and flaky our scones are going to be. So I've got this on 1.5 speed, so we're cooking real quick right here. But that's so you don't have to watch me mix this forever. Once we're just barely combined, I'm going to split our mixture in half. Like I said before, we're doing a double batch so I can show you 2 different flavor ideas. But you can of course just half the batch or do a double batch in one flavor depending on what you're in the mood for. So I'm just going to scoop some of this out here. We'll get rolling with our blueberry lemon first. So I'm just going to take 1 lemon and my handy dandy little lemon zester here and zest the entire lemon into our dough. I'm going to be careful not to get too much of the white pith part because that's where we're going to get a little bit of bitterness. You just want the actual yellow rind to get that really pungent lemon oil flavor right on in there. I'm also going to add 3/4 of a cup of fresh blueberries and a tablespoon of lemon juice, which somehow escaped this filming. And I'll just stir it on up with a fork again. Kind of fold everything in together. Again, trying to stir as minimally as possible. We just want everything as evenly incorporated as we can. And once it's all mixed up, I'm going to pop this into the fridge while I work on our almond poppy seed batch. The really awesome thing about cooking vegan is you can taste test things. So give it a taste, try it out if there's not enough lemon, if you don't feel like there's enough blueberry or vanilla flavor in there, you can totally add from there, which is so awesome. One thing I do have noticed is when I cook with oat flour, there is a nuttiness about it that I really enjoy. I really love the texture, but it can overpower flavors a little bit. So you may have to add, depending on your taste, a little bit more flavoring to compensate for that, depending on what you like and don't like. So feel free to taste test along the way and make little bits of modifications here and there. So this is the other half of our batter. I've just sprinkled in 1.5 tablespoons of poppy seeds, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of almond extract. Stir it up and kind of give it a taste and see what we're working with here. Okay, we're looking pretty incorporated here. I'm just gonna give it a little taste, see what we're looking like. I believe it needed just a little bit more almond extract. It was kind of getting lost in that oat flour like I was saying. So I'm just going to sneak in about 1/4 teaspoon more of that almond extract and get it mixed in and throw this little baby in the fridge to get nice and chilled out while our oven is preheating to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Once our scone dough is chilled out for at least, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes. The longer, the better, but I'm a little short on time here, so 10 minutes it is. I'm just going to plop it out onto a floured surface here. This is the blueberry lemon, and then just form it with my hands into a thick circular puck shape. I believe that is a technical term. Oh, and if you didn't hear she just said hi as well. She's needing some serious attention. It is walk time for sure. So now that we've got our disc here, it's probably about 8 inches in circumference here. I'm just going to cut it in 8s. So we've got 8 little traditional triangle English scone shapes. Then I'm just going to take these pretty little scones and place them on a parchment lined baking sheet here. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing with our poppy seed dough here and put them on their own separate pan, mostly because my pans aren't big enough to hold both. You can use one if you've got the room, then you only have to do one dish. And before we pop these little guys in the oven, I'm just going to brush them with a bit of cold soy milk and sprinkle them with a bit of that Swerve granulated sweetener to just give us a little bit more crunch and sweetness as it bakes. And we're gonna pop them in the oven, like I said, at 400 degrees for about 23 minutes, and my oven seemed to be perfect. You just want them to start to get golden brown around the edges. I did start checking around 18 minutes to make sure we didn't have any burning action going on. And here they are, nice and puffed up and brown and exploding with blueberries and almond flavor. Exactly what we were looking for. Once we've cooled off a little bit, oh, look how beautiful that scone looks. I'm just going to pile them up on a little platter here. I decided to drizzle them with a little bit of Swerve confectioner sugar mixed with a bit of lemon juice to add a little bit more sweetness and a nice little zing. We are good to go. You've got yourselves a sugar-free, vegan, delicious scone that'll last you for the week or last you for a very nice brunch with friends. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope that you're having a wonderful day and you're staying safe and healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.